Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Daniel Manzano, and we have a special guest. We're doing a special podcast today, and we have our friend Jose Aguilar. Jose Aguilar is a friend of the family. He's got an incredible story. I want you guys to listen to everything this man had to go through to become the man that he is today. He's a very successful singer. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to be talking about the new single. He's got a new single that is coming out soon. Yeah, that's amazing. So I was talking to him, listened to his story, and it's really moving. And I think this is what a lot of people need. They need to be inspired. They need to be motivated. And I want you to be able to see the things that you can do. This is the land of opportunities. This is a place where you can actually make your dreams become a reality. And he's proof that you can do this. Man, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm just so excited. We've been working on this forever.
Yes.
And then finally we were able to do this. Let's just start with this. Let me I want you to share with my audience. When you came to this country when you were how old?
I was around probably between 11 and 12. I would say 12, because if I really go back and count, I was literally about to turn 12.
12 years old. I mean, you were young when you came to this.
You know what? It's
Was it
interesting.
hard?
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, it was really hard because I think I was in the age where you're just about to turn to become a teenager. So little things or a lot of things are going into your mind. For me, it was a little hard for me to learn the language, to adapt to a new culture.
So when you came to this country, did you? It was just you, your mom, your dad. How did you?
You know what? It's interesting.
Do you feel comfortable talking about?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
I don't wanna, if I get too personal, let me know.
No, it's okay. The reason why we came to this country is because my dad, all his life, he lived in this country, in the U.S. We used to live in Mexico.
And where are you from?
The state of Michoacan.
Michoacan.
For people who knows, we're close to Mexico City, and we're close to also Jalisco, which is Guadalajara. We're kind of like in the center of the whole country, in the middle of the country. And the reason why we came to this country is because at that time, I remember when we were really young, we're coming from a little small village that sometimes I take a joke and I said that it's not even in the map.
That's small.
Because it was really, really small. But we were going through some really strong struggles where I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I used to go to the streets. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I used to go to the streets and work and ask for money. Because my dad, somehow, somewhere, there was times that he probably forgot about us, He used to send money to my mom to support us, but sometimes there was no money.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So you were asking for money? You were on the streets?
Correct. Actually, not necessarily asking for money, because I want people to understand that even though I was 7 years old, one thing is just to ask for money. Just everybody who comes there, I have seen people that just ask for money, not doing anything. In my situation, I used to sell candy. I used to work in the streets to actually be able to.
You were 7 years old?
I was 7 years old.
Just a little kid, man.
Just a little kid.
I can't imagine sending my 7-year-old
And I used to be
son.
so afraid, because my mom used to say, don't get close to the cars, because so many stories that people tell you when you're a kid, they used to,
Robachicos.
Yeah, exactly. That people would take those kids, and who knows, and up to today it still happens, But for me, it was just knowing that just going home and not having just the basic stuff, like rice, like beans, like corn, that there was nothing to eat. When I tell people, when I tell people that when people are poor is when they don't have nothing to eat on the table. And there was times that I can tell you that there was nothing to eat on the table. There was one particular day that I remember, because one year my mom came to the U.S. to work here, and she said that she regretted all her life because she left us 1.5 years. My little sister, she was probably 1 year old, and then 3 years old, maybe like 4 years, because we were like about a year and a half apart when we were small. And I remember it was December 12th, Dia de la Virgen de Guadalupe in Mexico. It's a big fiesta, it's a big thing, And we were getting ready to go to church. And I remember mom and dad, they were in the US and we were staying with my sister, and there was literally nothing to eat. I remember my sister had a half an onion and 3 tortillas, and she cut just leaves from the orange tree and she made tea with no sugar. She just boiled those leaves. She did the tea. She cut the onion and she gave us a little bit of piece of onion with tortilla. That was the day when mom and dad came from the US. And I remember that day that everything just turned out. I was probably 5 years old. So people can understand this. That was the only time my mom came to the US. When she stayed in Mexico and my dad still stayed in the US, there was times that there was money. There was times that there was no money because my dad, rest in peace, there was times that he was probably just forgot about us.
That's terrible.
So it was very,
I'm so sorry
very
to hear
hard.
that,
It
man.
was
That
very, very hard.
That was
very
tough.
hard.
You know, a kid shouldn't go through all that.
Correct.
No one should go through that. But little kids.
So that was
But
biggest.
that
That was
builds
biggest
character.
reason. Yeah.
You know, that builds you up. I know that it sounds like the right thing to say, but a lot of times that's what's going to make you the man that you become later. You know,
Correct.
all the bad things that you go through make you become a better person.
Correct.
You know,
And just to answer your question, I think that was the biggest reason why my mom thought about it and said, you know what? I need to look for a better life for my kids. Nothing's going to happen here. There's no way these kids are going to be able to get the education that they need. There's no way they're going to be able to do something in life. And that was the reason why she decided to cross the border.
Oh my God, the guy's about to get hit. Hey, watch out. Hey, are you okay?
Así se siente el choque cultural cuando llegas a los Estados Unidos y no puedes hablar inglés, como si te pegara un camión. Por eso quiero presentarte a mi curso Turbo English. Mi nombre es Daniel Manzano y llevo más de 20 años enseñando inglés. Tengo un canal en YouTube con 2 millones de suscriptores y 170 millones de reproducciones. Eso me da la confianza para decirte que mi curso Turbo English tiene todo lo que necesitas para aprender inglés de una vez por todas, incluyendo clases en vivo con profesores profesionales. Así que haz tu sueño de aprender inglés una realidad. Ve al link que está aquí abajo. Ahí nos vemos. You know, I know we were having that conversation the other day, and you said it was you, your mom, and your
And my
little...
younger five brothers and sisters.
Just you 3.
No, it was actually 5. I was the oldest, and then I was the oldest, I was 12, and the youngest, she was 6 months old. She was a baby. 6 months old
Across the
baby.
desert.
And we crossed the desert. And I remember the day that we left, my grandma said, don't do it. Those kids are going to die in the desert. It was during May. We crossed the border through Arizona, 100 and who knows, 115, 120
Terrible.
degrees. And my mother, I remember like it was yesterday, and I have said it a couple of times publicly because I feel that my mother has been the biggest role model in my life, that she was never afraid of anything. And she said to my grandma, if I stay, these kids are going to die. If I go, these kids might die. I go. Because it was one of those situations where you have to just fight for it. You can't just think about like, imagine. So when people talk about struggles and when people talk about all these situations, I'm like, honestly, who's going to come and talk to me about struggles when we had to be in the desert? 3 of my brothers almost died because of the heat, you know, to the point that we had to really like stop. 3 of my brothers, my little sister, the one that was 6 months old, and my younger little brother, that he was 2 years old, and my sister who was 4 years old, they almost passed away because of that whole situation of the hardness of crossing the border.
Yeah.
So just imagine a mother who had no other choice than to cross the border to be able to get a better life to these kids.
With her kids.
That deserves an applause. That deserves
Yeah.
anything. And to me, just having the opportunity to see someone who's not afraid of anything, I was like, I'm not going to be afraid of anything in life. And I can tell you that that's the biggest motivation in life, to be able to do things on an everyday basis.
Wow. See, that's... you hear stories like that all the time. People dying in the desert, and but a mom with her kids alone, that takes a lot of courage. You know, she's tough.
She's really tough.
Tough woman. Yeah.
Yes.
Was she
she's-
strict? Was she strict with you guys when you were
She
growing
was.
up?
She was really strict. And by the way, I know she's probably not going to understand this interview. I was talking to her last night, and she's 80 years old. She follows me on social media. She knows how to use the iPhone.
Oh.
And to me, I love it because she's my biggest fan.
Yeah.
She's also wanted to become a recording artist. She also sings beautiful. She also like gave me the gift. God gave us the gift. And that's the reason I'm here. So I'm actually living my dream and hers. So, mother, I love you. Te amo.
Saludos. ¿Me está viendo, amiga? Saludos. Buen trabajo. Good job raising this kid. All right. I want to ask you, so when you came to the U.S., what would you say were your biggest struggles? I know, you said the cultural shock and you had to learn the language and everything. But as years went by and you got older, what would you say your biggest struggles were?
There was two things that I think it was the biggest struggles. One of them, it was also to adapt to the culture. But also just now remember that the situation mom and had, it wasn't the best relationship. So now living with mom and dad and having the struggle because there was a lot of like, not just only psychological violence, but also physical violence. Just to be living in a country where you don't know the rules, you don't know the regulations, you don't know who to ask for help, you don't know nothing. I remember it was probably my first grade that I had in school. I'm going to be true and honest. Probably I wasn't a straight A kid in Mexico, but I was an average kid. I was probably getting 8s and 9s, average kid. So I received my first grade, and I remember it was in my science class, and there was a teacher's aide who was the only person, there was the only class that I had a teacher's aide who spoke Spanish. I remember I didn't know how to speak the language. So I go up to her and I said, what does this mean? Because they give me an F. I didn't know what it was because they used to grade you with numbers, not with letters. And I said, what does this mean? And she said, how she said, ay, pobrecito, mijo, like, poor kid, this is a 0. I was like, what do you mean a 0? You fail. And I was like, what do you mean I fail? I feel so bad just to know that I failed. And I was literally my first 2 weeks in school, and I was like thinking, how in the world are you going to come to a country and be able to succeed in a country where you don't know what they're talking about? The classes, it is a completely different language, and they're still going to test you. What are they going to test you about if you don't even know what they're talking about?
Yeah.
So it was a very hard and shocking situation. It was only the first year that I kind of struggled, and the following year, it's almost kind of hard to talk about it just about yourself because I don't want to like misunderstand it. I don't want people to misunderstand and say, oh, he thinks he's about. No. I just thought that it was a good opportunity to learn. And then the first year passed, and then the second year, I started getting like all these good grades, and I started getting like all these recognitions from school. And that was the beginning of everything else that I did in life.
Wow.
So because I took it as not like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, so I'm not going to do it. No. What is it that I need to do to
personal.
be? Yeah, but at the same time, it was optional. Either you just don't do nothing about it, or you have to work harder, because sometimes in life, you have to work double to be able to succeed, or to be able to get to what you need to do.
Yeah.
Learn the language. Study probably more than any other kid. Staying after school. All those things that you have to do, you have to do
That's
it.
doing extra,
Yeah, you just have to work double.
Yeah. Bueno, aquí se van a empezar a poner las cosas bien interesantes. Aquí viene la carne y las papas de la entrevista. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a singer? When did you felt like you were falling in love with music? How did it happen?
This is really interesting because when I explain it, some people understand it, some people don't. I tell people that I didn't know that I had the talent. And people are like, what do you mean you don't have, what do you mean? It's almost kind of like hard to understand that you didn't know you had the talent. And it's true. So what happened, it was that it was really hard for me, even though people are not going to believe it because now I'm so comfortable in front of camera. But back in the days when I was a kid, you were extra shy. It was extra shy. It was so hard just to be in public. I sang only to myself. I never sang to no one. And I used to hear myself and I was like, well, I think I sound pretty good, average, but I didn't have no one to say you sing good or you sing bad. So I didn't really trust myself. So there was one time, literally exactly the way it happened. I was already going to high school. I think it was my sophomore year. So imagine from like, since I remember I sang and never had a chance because I didn't even know that I had it. And there was this teacher who was promoting a play, and he was coming actually from LA. I grew up in Central Valley. For people who don't know, it's literally in the center of California. I grew up in a little town that is called Porterville. If you Google it, you will see where is it at.
But just a quick interruption. Have you lived in California most of your life?
Most of my life, yes, in California.
Right.
So they were promoting that they were going to do this play, and they were looking for actors and singers. There was a few of my little friends that I have heard me sing, and they were asking me, you should go and do the audition. You should go. And I was like, why do I mean, there's no way I'm going to go do an audition because they're looking for people who really knows how to sing. I don't know how to sing. Don't ask me how in the world they convinced me. And I went to the audition. Believe it or not, it was the biggest, like, in my mind at that time, I was like, this is the biggest mistake I ever made in my life.
I thought you were going to say, this is what I need to be doing.
No, because actually that's how I discovered that I actually had it. But I suffer because when I got there, now I have the experience and I know how this goes. But at that time I had no clue. So we went, they take you to like this room with probably another 10 other people that are doing the same audition. And these kids, they know how to play piano, they know how to sing, they know how to read notes. I didn't know how to do anything, my friend. So when it was my turn, they were like, which song are you going to sing? And I was like, I don't know. Okay. Do you have anybody who's going to help you, who's going to, te va a ayudar con algún instrument? And I was like, no. Okay, don't worry about it. So the teacher was like, okay, he get one of the people who was there, like, okay, let's just help him with the guitar. What's the name of the song? Don't know. What pitch? I didn't know nothing. By that time, the rest of the students that were there, they were already making fun of me. So the teacher, he's like, okay, stop. He's like, okay, don't laugh. He's like, Jose, you're here for a reason. Just show me what you have. Just sing. So when you go to those auditions, they let you sing probably like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds the most. He did not interrupt me the whole entire song. And I just started singing.
Did you remember?
I remember
what was
the song. I remember Mi Forma de Sentir. It goes, solo tú que conoces mi forma de sentir, mi forma de reír, hasta mi forma de llorar. Solo tú sabes a dónde voy. So I started singing.
Wow.
And then
Excellent.
The teacher did not
You got a
interrupt
good
me.
voice, man.
Thank you. And then after I sang, he looked at my eyes and he asked me, have you ever thought about being a recording artist? And I said, no. He goes, why? I said, I don't know. He goes, I'm going to tell you why. You do know, but you do not want to say it. And he goes, you do not believe that you have it. You have a great voice. You have a charisma. You have this, you have that. And I remember he said something that I never going to forget because he was actually who turned the light in my life. He goes, there's people that they become over the years with training. They become recording artists. They become son estrellas, son recording artists, no? But there's other people that they're born with it. And you're one of those that born with it. He goes, I'm going to tell you something.
Talent.
Yeah, that's true talent. That's a gift.
Yeah.
He goes, this industry itself is not easy. I'm not, how he said it, I don't believe you're not going to make it based on talent. I know you will make it based on talent. But unfortunately, it's not just based on talent. There's a lot of sharks out there. There's a lot of things you have to overcome. If I would have known what he was really talking about when I was 16 years old, I probably would have never tried it because it is a scary career in a certain sense. And we would talk about it over.
It's a tough industry.
It's a very tough industry.
Yeah.
He goes, but if you really have the skin to make it, you will make it. And you remember what I'm saying. When I got out of this audition, like everything turned out on me. Like I wanted to do it. I wanted to just go out there and just show it was such an incredible motivation to me that's one of the biggest reasons why me and you were here, because I know someone out there is probably going through the same situation where they don't know how to start. They don't know who to go. They don't know how to showcase their, just do it.
So that is how you
That's how I started.
Yeah.
And not having no clue, I started just learning songs. And I remember the first, this is so interesting, and I laugh about it because my first opportunity, it was in a mariachi festival.
A mariachi?
Mariachi festival.
Can you do the scream? Can you do the mariachi scream?
You know what? Believe it or not, I don't even know how to do I don't know how to do the grito.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Very,
peculiar
yes, totally.
scream.
But you know what? I remember I asked, it was a mariachi festival. There was actually good mariachis from LA. People who live in Los Angeles, they have known Mariachi Los Camperos, Mariachi Sol de Mexico from Jose Hernandez, which is one of the most one of the most famous mariachis from LA. And I remember I asked the director who was also involved with education, and it was an educational mariachi festival, which there was a lot of students that they also play. Believe it or not, he didn't want to give me a chance. Finally, he did not even want to answer my phone calls. So one time I actually called and I said, Frank, because his name is, I haven't talked to him for many years, but I feel like he's still alive. And I said, Frank, I just want you to give me a chance. I just want you to give me a chance to sing a song. You know what he said? Jose, I have never heard you sing. This is a mariachi festival. This is an auditorium. This is a professional show. I cannot let you come and sing a song. I don't even know how you're going to do it. I just can't. He goes, but you know what? Because you're so persistent, I'm going to give you a chance, but only one condition. And I said, go for it. I'm ready for it. He goes, you're going to pay your ticket like anybody else. And I said, okay, easy. You're going to perform when they have an what is it called? When they close the curtain and it's in
the middle of
intermission.
Yeah,
when people go to the restroom and they go buy the soda.
Go get their popcorn, their candy, their beer.
They close the curtains and I said, done. Even if people hear me or not, I want to be up on stage. He goes, okay, done. I got to the place, the mariachi festival started. I paid my ticket. I was trying to go backstage. They didn't have me in the list. They didn't want to let me go in. And I was there. So finally, they told Frank that I was there. They let me go in there. It was almost to the end of the show. I think it was only 2 mariachis more, because now I understand that there's an outline that you have to follow. And every artist, they has their timing. No one is going to do other people's timing because, of course, if they give you a 15-minute show, that's your 15-minute show. You can't exceed it because you prepare for your 15-minute show, right? So when that happened, it was that everybody going smooth. It was almost the end and nobody called me. So I said, okay, I'm not going to sing. The first intersection went, the second, nobody called me. So I was like, okay, done. Guess what?
At the very end.
Right by the end of the show, I heard somebody calling my name, but like yelling backstage. Frank comes up to me. He grabbed me from my arms and he's like, Jose, this is your opportunity. One of the bands canceled at the last minute, didn't show up. He goes, you have 15 minutes to do whatever in the world you want. You can sing, you can dance, you can do whatever you want. You have 15 minutes. I remember there was a stage and he goes, just don't touch me. None of the mics that are out there because they're already set for the mariachi who's going to come. Just stay right here behind the curtain. I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you a mic. The song started because they played with the pista. He never showed up. So I walk on the stage and I started trying to every single mic until like the 5th one worked. The pista was already like half of the pista and nothing. And then I said to the audience, because my English was still like a lot less than now. And I said, ¿me puede regresar la pista, por favor? And then I was like, oh, wait, I think the engineer doesn't know how to speak English. Can you? And then everybody started laughing because they thought I was a comedian. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know if I was going to sing or they didn't know. Yeah. And then I said, just rewind, the music. I started singing and I don't know how to express it. I don't know how to tell you the whole like feeling of being up on stage, the crowd. There was one time I remember in the middle of the song, because my mother was there and I sang the song Amor Eterno. Tú eres la tristeza de mis ojos que lloran en silencio por tu amor. Do you remember that song from Juan Gabriel?
Yeah.
Because they were celebrating Mother's Day. I go down and I started singing to the moms and the grandmas. Everybody started crying. Everybody was, and I was like, this is what I want to be doing in life. After that, it was my first opportunity to do a tour for 6 months with one of the mariachis, because Frank was like, I want you to come with us. I want you to like go out there. And it was my first opportunity to be up on stage. From nothing to something.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yes.
Because anyone else, if they had an opportunity like that, what if they blow it? You know, what if they just mess everything up and it's over? But you had one shot, you took it, and you did amazing.
And it happened. So it was a great opportunity because actually I had no experience whatsoever. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to be in front of the audience. I just did it organically because it was just me. So that's another thing too, that when you do something with passion and with love and you just do it because of that, there's no reason why you're going to do it wrong. Because it's within yourself.
Yeah.
Over the years,
when you're
over
yourself.
the years, you obviously learn, obviously you master it. Obviously you do a lot of things that it makes it easier. But at the end of the day, I haven't lost it. The biggest reason why I do it is because of the love of music and because of the love of people.
Wow. That's, man, you're full of surprises. Was there a moment in your life when you were so pumped up about singing and you felt, this is my call, this is what I want to do with my life, when you felt like everything wasn't working the way that you wanted and you wanted to give up?
Definitely. I think there was many times that I almost gave up, but there was one particular time when I finished my contract with one band that we did. I did 5 years with them. We were with the label. We did a lot of stuff. We did here in the U.S. and also there was a few places that we did in the U.S. and Mexico. But I feel like when that contract ended, I wanted to do it more. But they were kind of like already giving up to the point of like, they thought that they made it. And to me, I wanted to do more. I wanted to become someone in life and get a Grammy and live out of music, right? So when that time happened, I wanted to pursue it as a soloist. And me and my brother, that's when my brother, which I said, le mando un saludo a mi hermano Homer, we decided to do it as an independent, do our own company and start this career. And there was this particular person that I had seen that he had done so much stuff with this recording artist who actually was from here, from LA. Her name was Gianni Rivera. She was from Long Beach, very successful recording artist. And he had worked for her or with her for the last 5 years, right before she passed. So I started like searching for this guy and trying to see if I can get a hold of him, because I was thinking, this is going to be the door that is going to open for me to succeed in my career. Because I was thinking in my mind, I just need someone who really knows how to take you. I have the talent. I have the idea. I want to do it. I really want to do it. Make the story short, I finally ended up getting his information. I called him. I left him a message. Nothing happened. 3 days later, he answered the phone and he called back. So we were going to meet here in Burbank. And then at the end, he canceled the meeting and he said, you know what? I don't even know who you guys are. I don't want to bring you guys to my office. I mean, don't take it wrong, but I don't know who you guys are and I don't trust you guys, blah, blah, blah. Let's do it over the phone. And I was like, it's fine. Let's do it over the phone. When I talked to him, overhearing all what I was telling him and what I wanted to do in life, and he told me straight up, I'm done with this. I already did it. My mind is in a different mindset. Honestly, I don't want to work with you. And then he told my brother, over the phone. Yeah. He told my brother, he goes, what are you going to say about your brother? He's your brother. You love your brother. Of course you're going to say he's great. What are you going to say? But I can't just work with someone who thinks that it's great. He's like, I don't have the time. I don't have the money, blah, 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 blah. So then I said, how much would you charge to work with us? Because I need a mentor. I need someone who can give me he goes, I'm going to tell you something. If I ever decide to work with you, I'm very expensive and I don't think you can afford it. And I said, give me just the code. Who knows? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Who knows? You let me know. He goes, I'm going to put something together for you. Give me a couple of days and I will send you the email and you let me know if you can. And if you decide to work with me, and if I decide to work with you, I'm going to give you a week for you to give me a deposit, and then we take it from there, and then we go from there. I'm going to tell you something. That was the craziest, biggest, dumbest mistake I ever did. And in a sense of like putting yourself in a position where you don't know how in the world you're going to come up with the money, because it was a lot of money. But I was so desperate to do it that I thought it was kind of like the only opportunity that I was going to have in life, because I had so much reference from this guy that I was like, this guy is the one who's going to take me.
Yeah.
Talking to my brother, he gave me all that stuff, and he was charging me just as a mentor, not talking about like if we record, I had to pay for my recordings, the musicians, everything. It was just for him to give me just what is it called? Like just to guide you, like just to have a meeting every week and just kind of guide you through and just kind of crear un inicio de trabajo to develop you as an artist, which I learned a lot. So
you gave him a deposit.
I gave him the deposit, and he was like, I didn't think you were going to make it. And I said, I'm here. I'm not afraid to say it. And I've never been embarrassed to say the ups and downs in my career, but I almost lived under a bridge after I did this, because we did it for 6 months. I put everything I had financially to answer your question that I almost gave up. Yes, because sometimes in life, you give anything in your power to make it, but unfortunately, the other person doesn't do the same thing. And one of the things that I learned in this business is that no one else really cares as much as you in your career than yourself. And no one else out there is going to do anything for you than yourself. Because people out there in the business, they care about their money and nothing else. That was my biggest, hardest situation. And then that's when I said, what is it that I'm doing? I knew that I was doing things wrong, because I know I wanted to succeed, but at the same time, I wasn't making the right decisions. So my brother was barely new in my career, and he wanted to continue, but I wanted to give up. I just didn't want to deal with it, because I had done it for so long that I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I don't think this is something that I want to do in life. Maybe I already got in trouble. Maybe I should. So I started getting a lot of different things that I got in so much trouble. But one of the things that I can tell you is, when you have a gift, and when you know that that's something that it's there for a reason. And one of the things that I always said is, no one asked me if I wanted it. They just gave it to me. This talent, I didn't look for it. The talent looked for me, and it gave it to me. However you want to put it out there.
The universe.
The universe.
God
gave it to me. So it wasn't like they asked me, did you want to get it? Do you want to use it? Do you want to do something? No, they gave it to me. And shame on me if I don't do something with it. So it was something that in life that I had to just reinvent myself. Understanding that in life is not just about dreaming. That in life you have to also protect yourself. That in life you also have to be living and put your feet in the ground and be solid about it. Because I know that a lot of the times you live in a dream, you live in a fantasy, you think that all these people, a lot of the people come and whisper in your ear and they tell you they're going to do all these things for you. They're not going to do it. So who's going to do it? You're going to do it. Who's going to break those walls? You're going to break those walls. Who's going to work? You're going to work. Because no one else is going to make anything for you. Nothing in life. And this is humbly I said it, because I learned in a hard way. The only person can really do something in life for you is yourself.
You hear that, guys?
No one else. And there's
You're
no
speaking
excuse.
the truth.
And there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I have seen people that I'm not doing it because I don't have money. I'm not doing it because I don't have no guidance. I'm not.
Pretextos.
But at the end of the day,
Excuses.
pretextos.
Yeah.
Gracias a Dios, from 2019 to now, I have my own independent company. Everything we do it as a work for hire. That's the way we do it. That's the way we said it. So we pay for the musicians. We pay for the recording studios. We pay for the graphic designers. We pay for whoever makes the music videos. We pay. But then that's it. We pay for their job.
Man, so
A lot of stuff.
Don't give up. So when you feel like you're giving up, you just have to you have to work harder. And if you give up, if you have a little problem, you're never gonna make it if you give up. Imagine all the successful people in life. that we know today.
Correct.
If they give up.
And I think also, to add just a little bit about it, I think in life, you have to also kind of have some kind of motivation to make things. One of my biggest motivation is my mother.
Your family?
She
Your
believes
mom, yeah.
in me. She knows who I am. She knows I have the talent. And every time I go to an interview, every time I go to like any TV interview, I stop and I said, Madre, te amo. Y mi hermana, my younger sister who lives with her, she
How old
said
is she
that
now?
my younger sister, she's 29, and
One
my
of my-
mother,
yeah.
she's 80. And every time I do this, my mom cries, and she cries because she gets emotional, she gets happy.
You guys been through
She
a lot,
knows.
and it's
yeah,
just-
we have
it's
gone through a lot,
emotional.
and I think it's an emotional, and it's also the opportunity to celebrate. Every day to me, it's a celebration. Every day to me, it's a new challenge. But you know what? Every day there's a new learning experience. It's a win. No matter
really
how
is.
you go, no matter how it goes, it's always going to be a win. As long as we have the opportunity to wake up another day, it's a new beginning.
That's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
And it's a new day.
Totally.
The sun is out
Yes.
and shining.
Totally.
All right, I got a question for you.
Go for it.
How, you were able to accomplish a lot of things in your life, and you're very successful. But do you think, as an immigrant, do you think you would have been able to accomplish all this if you didn't speak English?
Good question. It's very unpredictable to know if I would have done it or not, or if I would have succeeded or not. But I can say that English is the main thing. To me, just learning the English itself, also I feel like it's a respect for this country and also respect for the culture. But yes, to be able to navigate in a country without speaking the language, it would be 10 times harder. Imagine with just to know like how to read those contracts, how to deal with those recording companies, or just itself, just to navigate itself, just to basics, just to order just a coffee. I think that just to be living in this country and to give you the opportunity to learn the language completely makes everything more easier, because you'll be able to connect, you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to elaborate, you'll be able to have respect also in the industry. So even though I'm not doing anything in English right now when it comes to my music, I think that the fact that I live in this country, it is important.
necessity.
It is a necessity.
Yeah.
It is also important to be able to speak the language. Imagine not be able to speak the language. I think that a lot of the doors you wouldn't be able to open. You would still need someone to open the door for you or someone to translate for you. And again, it's like getting yourself slower to be able to reach your goals. So definitely, I think it is important. And I think that people who's watching us and people who's living in this country from all over the world, yes, it is important to learn the language. I really think it is.
If you are, I want to say that a lot of Hispanic people, I don't want to say that other people are not like we are, but Hispanic people,
Yes, I
we come
agree.
to this country with a different mentality. We want to work hard. We want to do things, earn money. And with that mentality, like a champion's mentality, it's harder to make it if you don't speak English.
Correct.
So imagine having that champion mentality. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that and get a good job. And how can you, with that mentality, how can you really get your dreams? How can you really accomplish anything faster if you don't speak English?
Correct. And you know what I was going to say? You remind me of something. Again, my dad, rest in peace, and I don't have nothing against him. I love him. But when I was a kid, I remember one time he told me that because we were coming from a poor family, stop thinking that you're going to become someone, you become from a poor family, that's who you are. Sometimes people believe that because you're coming from a small town or because you're coming from a poor family, that you don't have chances to change. And I used to say, and I still say it, and as many times I have a chance to say is, it is not my fault where I was born, but it is my fault if I stay where I'm at. So in other words, it wasn't my fault that I was born in a really small village in a really small poor family, but it is my fault if I stay. It is my fault if I don't do nothing about it. It is my fault if I don't learn the
That's why I
language.
moved away from Alabama.
You know what But I'm saying,
kidding.
no, but I'm saying, like, I think it is also a choice. to succeed in life, it is a choice. And I know a lot of the times people say that it's not, but because you learn over the years to work with what you have. Not thinking, oh, if I will have this, maybe I will be able. No, you have a lot of tools and a lot of things that you can work with to be able to grow. And the more that you grow, the more you succeed. But at the same time, a lot of the times people, and I'm talking about in general, at one point I also thought the same way. Like, oh, if I wish I would have this, if I would have this, I would probably make more. Not necessarily.
Do what you can with
Do
what
what you can with what you have. Because whatever you have, that's going to be the opportunity to make you grow and get other stuff.
Jose, I know you're going to do great things. You're a great singer, and just make sure you give him some free tickets. All right?
Definitely.
I can go backstage. And meet everyone, meet the crew.
Yeah. And I think not only that, we're going to just, I think at one point we're going to joke around and we're going to remember, we're going to be cheering, saying, do you remember when you came and do the podcast and we were just talking about it? I think that's also a way to manifesting, meaning to believe that you can do things. Right now, we're working on the new single. It's almost
I want to ask you that. Can we please talk about the...
Definitely.
I want you to tell me what the name of the song is. Desde abajo.
Vengo de abajo.
Vengo de abajo.
Vengo de abajo, which that means I'm coming from the bottom. And
tell me the story.
so,
where
le mando un saludo a Freddie Osuna, which is the composer. When he approached me, I recorded another song. I kept songs from the same composer. I write also songs, but most of the time I record other people's songs. And the reason why is because I feel like I don't consider myself a composer. I'm still learning. I'm a recording artist, so which is different. So I kept songs from the same composer. And then one day I was going through the library, I had few, and then I remember the song, and I reached out to him and I said, you know what, I have this song from you, and I want to know if any other have recorded, if any other artists have recorded. He's like, no, it's still free. And I said, I want to record it because I wanted to get to a different audience, like another demographic, a younger demographic. Going over the song and recording the song, we recorded in Guadalajara. It's Banda Sinaloense. And I never really thought about the song. I never pay attention to the lyrics.
And by the way, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you again. The type of music that we're talking about here is música regional mexicana.
Which is really Mexican.
Yeah.
So people know. And we have now a lot of exponents that they're doing regional Mexican music, like in the charts. Right now, we have a lot. But going back to the single, I didn't really think about the lyrics. I got it because I had another intention with it. We recorded the song, and when I showed the song to my mother, because she's always the first one who I show the projects, she was listening to the song in the car, and I feel like she almost teared, like she was tearing. And then she told me, that's your story. And that hit me when she said, that's your story. And I was like, duh, it is really my story. Because the song, what it says like, I'm coming from the bottom, I'm coming from zero. So I'm coming from zero to something. I'm not afraid to say where I'm coming from. I know when I was a kid, I had nothing to eat. I know when I was a kid, I used to sell candy to survive. I know when I was a kid, I had mom and dad, but I didn't have much. Now that I have money, I have the ability, the opportunity to dress up maybe a little better, maybe have a better car, maybe have a better stuff, maybe better house. So from nothing to something. And the biggest message that I realize in this song is not only for people who lives in this country, a lot of the immigrants that they come, we were talking about it also, that they come with this vision and with these dreams that work, and they want to do something, and they want to help the families, and they want to succeed.
Live the American dream and all that.
Live the American dream. Well, guess what? The biggest message that I'm trying to say is it is possible. It is possible to succeed. It is possible to come from nothing to something. But I feel that in this song, even the music video, I wanted to do it organic. I wanted to really do it because we were thinking like, I wanted to portray the little house where we were kids. And I want to portray that.
I'm going to put a link.
Yes, yeah.
So people, so they can watch the video.
They can watch it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking.
Voy a dejar el link aquí abajo.
Yeah. And I was thinking, if we do the music video here in the US, maybe it's not going to look as organic and real. Because where am I going to find the little house when they used to make the tortillas and when they used to make the beans? So we traveled to Mexico just specifically to do that. We went to the state of Tepic. It's very close to the state where I'm actually was born. Yes, to film the video. And we went to record when actually, and I don't want to like spill the whole bean on the video, but there was actually one scene where I have an actor, and it was so interesting when I met this little actor. I was like, oh my God, whoever did the recruiting for the scene, they really did it great because you look like me. It reminded me of when I was a little kid, the little youngster.
Yeah.
He was an 11-year-old kid, and just seeing that scene where mom is cooking the tortillas, making it by hand, and having the leña, which is not, it wasn't even a stove. It was actually,
like
the wood where they fired the wood and they had that, and making the beans and having the little table. It was such a like great opportunity to revive those emotions when I was a kid and just showing that to the world. And then from that, selling the candies in the street and getting all this rejection from people and being out there, just, it reminded me everything who I was. But then the success, when you reach the success, when now you're dressing up good, when now you can survive, when now you can give that to the people and to the family and to who you love, and showing the people that the only person can give up, it's yourself. No one else. No one else is going to do the job for you. It's just the courage to do it. And I'm excited to show the song, and I'm excited so people can hear it. And I'm excited because when I was doing the cover of the single, I was thinking like what to put and just sharing this with you because I know it's going to get recorded. One day we're going to talk about it. Yeah. And I love to say this, that I feel that this song is kind of like a before and after. There's in the cover of the album, there's a big old clock and behind the picture of me. And they were like, a clock? Why do you want a clock? And that was because there's a timing before and after.
And after.
So I
symbolic,
feel symbolic. So I feel that this song, it's going to give us the opportunity to reach a lot more audience, and it's going to give us the opportunity to do what we wanted to do. And at the end of the day, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think, not just think, I really believe that everything in this life, as long as you prepare, as long as you work, as long as you do your diligence, as long as you're responsible, there's no reason why you will fail. You will make it.
You will make
Whatever you want to do.
It's possible.
Everything is possible.
With hard work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vengo de abajo. Coming soon.
Jose, you have no idea how this means a lot to me, that we were able to do this and meet you. You're a wonderful person.
Thank you.
You're so full of energy and so positive. People can learn a lot from you. And what would be, can you do me a favor? What would be your advice to some of my viewers, other immigrants like us that come to this country and want to make it and want to do something with their life? Can you give them a word of advice?
Yeah, totally. I think that one of the things that the most important thing in life is, first of all, to define what is the passion that you have and that you're good at it. That's a good, if you want to become a businessman, if you want to become a cop, if you want to become a recording artist, whatever you decide to, make sure that that's your passion, that you love that and that you're good at it. Because a lot of the times also that takes time to find yourself of something that you really can do. And then two, just do it, my friend. Just do it. Don't think that, porque no tengo esto, because I don't have this, because I don't have that, then I will wait. If you wait, you're never going to do it. It's never going to be the right time. It is never going to be the right time.
Putting yourself in a way, when you're talking to yourself like that, like say you want to be a nurse, or like you said, a police officer. I have one of my viewers, one of my students became a police officer. And that was his lifelong dream. He wanted to come to the United States and one day become a police officer. And now he's a U.S. citizen, and he is a police officer. That's just an example.
Correct.
A nurse, anything you want to be. But if you keep thinking like that, then you shoot yourself in the foot. You're stepping in front of yourself, and you're keeping yourself from becoming what you want to be in life.
And I think also we have heard it so many times, and I feel like people keep talking about it, about believing in yourself and understanding. But what is it exactly believing in yourself? That's a big meaning.
What does that really mean to you when you
So,
say
for example,
believing in yourself? A person has to really look inside
Correct.
themselves.
And there's no plan B. There's plan A, and it's plan A, and there's no plan B. If you have a plan B and said, well, if it doesn't work out, then that means you're not believing that it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you focus on something that you really want to accomplish and you work for it and you really do it, there's no reason why you're not. And a lot of the times I think that people don't make it because they give up because it's not an easy route. It's not an easy thing to do. If it was easy, a lot more people will make it. And
Thank
I tell you
so much.
Yes.
You ever have you ever heard of Anthony Quinn?
Yes.
He had a commercial years ago, and he goes, "Si las cosas que valen la pena se hicieran fácilmente, cualquiera las haría."
Totalmente.
Remember that?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Everybody who succeeded has a story behind.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they all have in common, they never gave up.
You hear that, guys?
They
never give up.
They never
give up. Never surrender.
That's the only thing that they all have in common. They had a different story. They had a different situation. There's some that they had harder than others.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they meet in the same place.
They all have to fight for what they want.
Exactly. They never gave up. And that's the reason why they made it.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Guys, Jose Aguilar,
Yes.
go check him out. I'm going to put that link below so we're going to give you a little teaser so you can watch that video. Follow him on or your Instagram.
Yes.
I'm going to put
Jose Aguilar Oficial, my music and all the platforms. You guys can download it too. And one of the things that I love to say in my interviews is if you follow me and if you comment, I do answer. I do come back. And it's me. It's no one else.
That's great. My friend, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it so much. God bless you.
Thank you so
Guys,
much.
thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next video.